If you own property in Florida, especially for investment or retirement, this is a warning you can't ignore. Many people can't sell their homes, even after lowering prices, even after months on the market. The reason? Insurance premiums have doubled, listings are piling up, and buyers have disappeared. And if you don't act fast, you could lose another 20–30% of your property's value within the next 12 months. This video is for those over 50 living on a fixed income and thinking about using retirement funds to buy a home in Florida. I'll show you the 10 cities that are falling fastest and why the American dream there is turning into a financial nightmare. Watch until the end, because the city in the #1 spot might be the very place you're considering. Are you ready to see the truth? 110, Jacksonville, Florida. When an entire city is locked out for sellers. The American dream here is cracking day by day. 71-year-old Sandra has been trying to sell her home for 6 months, and no one's buying. In Jacksonville, property taxes have jumped nearly 19% in 1 year, and maintenance costs have risen from around $3,000 to over $6,000 annually. Buyers look at crime maps, see weak school ratings, and walk away. Even in-state migration has dropped sharply. Jacksonville is no longer a place people move to. It's a place they're trying to escape. Jacksonville was once called the star of Northeast Florida, but today, it's a quiet trap tightening around homeowners' necks. Traffic jams every morning, floods every afternoon, cracked roads, shaking bridges waiting for repair, and no one knows when the city budget will ever be enough to patch all those broken pieces. Each year, the city spends hundreds of millions on infrastructure, yet it's always one step behind the pace of decay. But that's not the fatal blow. What's truly crushing homeowners like Sandra is the relentless cost squeezing every resident. Property taxes in Jacksonville have jumped nearly 19% in just 1 year, one of the highest increases in the entire country. Alongside that comes the insurance storm sweeping across Florida, forcing old homes to pay skyrocketing premiums even if they've never faced a hurricane. Sandra puts it simply. Her home used to cost about $3,000 a year to maintain. Now it's over $6,000, and still climbing. What do buyers see when they come to Jacksonville? They see red crime maps. The rates of theft, robbery, and assault are several times higher than in other cities. They hear stories of families forced to move after being broken into twice in 1 year. They look at school ratings across many neighborhoods and see mostly C's or below. So they turn their cars around. They don't buy. They don't even look. They don't make offers. They just leave the homes there, like Sandra's, already discounted 3 times, still without a single inquiry. Some say Jacksonville used to be a golden destination for migrants from expensive states. But 2024 saw a sharp reversal. The inflow of new residents to Florida has dropped by nearly 80%. And when the newcomers stop coming, who will buy the old homes? Jacksonville is no longer a place to begin. It's become a place people are trying to escape. But the cruelest part is, not everyone can. For many, the house they live in is no longer a home. It's a trap. The longer they hold on to it, the more they lose. But when they try to sell, no one's buying. And if the market keeps sliding the way it is now, 2025 will be the year many Jacksonville homeowners officially lose their dream. 9. Daytona Beach, Florida 1. Of the places with the most insane insurance cost increases in the entire U.S., and a living example of the collapse of the coastal dream. After Hurricanes Ian and Nicole, many thought the damage was over. But Daytona Beach has entered a new financial storm, insurance premiums up 200 to 500% in just 1 year. Some condo buildings saw annual premiums jump from $207,000 to $680,000. Another saw an increase of over 500%. These numbers aren't warnings anymore. They're the reality squeezing thousands of homeowners here. The result? The entire real estate market in Daytona Beach is nearly paralyzed. Sellers are forced to slash prices. Buyers stay away. Many realtors now call the area a no-go zone, an investment dead zone. And it's not just because of insurance. The crime rate in Daytona Beach is among the highest in the state, with over 34 incidents per 1,000 residents. Only about 7% of cities in the U.S. have it worse. This insecurity has drained the area's appeal in the eyes of buyers, especially families and retirees, two groups that once made up the majority of demand. It doesn't stop there. Daytona Beach is burdened with one of the oldest housing stocks in Florida. The average home age is around 43 years. Many properties are severely deteriorated and fail to meet modern hurricane safety standards. Combined with flood risks due to its coastal location, these homes have become liabilities in insurance, maintenance, and safety. Look at the overall picture. Living costs have skyrocketed. Crime is high. Houses are old. Natural disaster risks are always present. And most importantly, a market where sellers have no buyers and buyers don't dare to enter. Daytona Beach is now the clearest example of a market that has reached its peak and is falling freely. Anyone who still believes that owning a beachfront home in Florida is a dream, Daytona is disproving that day by day, number by number. And if there are no fundamental changes next year, 2025 will be the year this place is officially marked as the death zone of Florida real estate. 8. Lakewood Ranch, Florida. A model community that is turning into a financial nightmare for its own residents. Lakewood Ranch used to be the dream of the well-off middle class, a place of brand new homes, clean streets, and luxurious amenities all around. But that dream is slowly deteriorating. Here, it's not because of natural disasters or crime. It's because the cost of maintaining life has gone far beyond what people can actually afford, and the market is drowning in an unprecedented level of supply. A new house in Lakewood Ranch can be listed for $550,000. It sounds reasonable for a high-end area, but that's just the entry price. Living here, homeowners must pay HOA fees from $200 to $500 a month, plus a CDD, community development fee, up to $3,000 a year. In total, many families have to spend over $700 a month just to be allowed to live in their own homes. The problem is, new housing supply is booming. While the actual number of buyers hasn't increased accordingly, the housing inventory has exceeded 6 months, the warning threshold for a saturated market. Every week, hundreds of homes are discounted. Buyers have too many options. Sellers have no leverage to keep prices up. Meanwhile, developers, concerned about inventory buildup, are rolling out a series of promotions such as interest rate reductions, waived closing costs, and free interior upgrades. This leaves resellers, existing homeowners, completely losing their competitive edge. They are forced to lower prices or let their houses sit on the market for dozens of days without a single viewing. Secondary investors have also begun to flee. Many who bought during 2021-2022 are now selling at a loss because total monthly costs are too high. Others are still holding on, but even renting is no longer attractive as high prices make tenants hesitant. Lakewood Ranch is a typical example of a utility bubble market. Beautiful, luxurious, new, but unsustainable. When the cost of living far exceeds income, when community fees rise uncontrollably every year, and when buyers become more cautious, the market will correct itself. And that is happening right now. In 2025, Lakewood Ranch may become proof of a bitter truth. Even ideal communities are not immune to the laws of supply, demand, and real costs. And when the mask of prosperity falls, what remains is the bare truth of a market that has grown too fast, too far from reality. Do you think model communities like this can still hold their value? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss weekly hot market analyses. 7. Bradenton Beach, Florida. A place where a storm doesn't even need to make landfall to send housing prices plummeting. At first glance, Bradenton Beach looks like paradise. Blue sea, white sand, and vacation homes with million-dollar views. But behind that beauty lies a chilling truth. This is one of Florida's most fragile markets. Just one slow tourist season or a small hurricane can shake it to the core. The reason is simple. Most homeowners here don't actually live here. They are Airbnb investors, secondary owners, or short-term speculators. People ready to dump their properties if profits fall short. And that's exactly what's happening. When home plus flood plus wind insurance can reach $20,000 a year for a $600,000 beachfront house, many are starting to look for the exit. Not to mention property taxes are sky high, since most owners don't qualify for homestead exemptions. Some houses carry over $30,000 in annual costs, making actual rental yields nearly zero. And if there's a prolonged low season, negative cash flow becomes inevitable. That's when the wave of sell-offs begins. More importantly, Bradenton Beach has no internal demand, no real residents buying to live long-term. It survives only on Airbnb, vacationers, and speculative price expectations. When market sentiment shifts, as it's doing now, no one wants to be the last person holding the debt bomb. Just like in 2008, when investors all ran for the exit, prices collapsed faster than any technical analysis could predict. Even nature isn't on this area's side. As a coastal island, Bradenton Beach faces direct threats from hurricanes, rising sea levels, and erosion, with projections showing water levels could rise another 18 inches before 2050. A few more heavy rainy seasons, and repair and insurance costs will far exceed what short-term homeowners can handle. If you're thinking about buying the dip in vacation areas like Bradenton Beach, you need to step back and look at the bigger picture. This market isn't just expensive, it's a double-risk game, environmental and financial. And unlike traditional homes or condos, when the vacation bubble deflates, no one is there to catch the fall. Do you think Airbnb-driven markets like Bradenton Beach are overvalued? Leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to get the earliest warnings on Florida real estate in 2025. 6. Palm Bay, Florida. A market that barely rose before stumbling and is now facing the deepest correction risk in the entire Space Coast area. Palm Bay used to be the most attractive low-cost destination in Brevard County, drawing waves of newcomers from other states because of its cheap housing, proximity to the beach, and reasonable distance from Orlando. But that sudden boom laid the foundation for a downturn that's now becoming clear. Home prices in Palm Bay have surged more than 80% in just 4 years, while local incomes barely moved. Currently, the price-to-income ratio has hit 7.5, far beyond what most locals who work in manufacturing, service industries, or live on Social Security can realistically afford. At the same time, home insurance costs in Palm Bay have increased by more than 40% compared to last year. Many buyers are panicking after receiving new insurance quotes, reaching over $5,000 a year for a $300,000 house. Some neighborhoods near Turkey Creek are even facing the risk of being pushed into flood zones, which could drive flood insurance premiums up by thousands of dollars in just one rainy season. Not only that, Palm Bay is now being rated as a city at risk of an inventory explosion in 2025. Housing inventory has surged by more than 72% year over year, while transactions have dropped by over 30%. This creates a pincer effect. Sellers are forced to cut prices, while buyers are growing skeptical about the area's stability. Areas like NW Palm Bay, once hotspots for cheap Airbnb investments, are now slowly turning into sell-off zones. Palm Bay doesn't have strong economic diversity like Orlando, nor does it have the tourism demand of Naples or Sarasota. The city mainly depends on population growth, and when migration begins to slow, the entire price appreciation model starts to wobble. If you're considering Palm Bay as a cheap investment or retirement destination, take a closer look at the market's financial structure. When home prices outpace affordability, when insurance and taxes soar, and when there's no clear long-term demand driver, everything can collapse faster than you think. 5. Anthony, Florida. Anthony was once a peaceful rural town, but now it's turning into a swelling price illusion bubble ready to burst at any moment. In just over a decade, housing prices here have jumped nearly 149%, pushing the median price to over $364,000. It may sound appealing to investors, but stop and ask one question. Who can actually afford to buy a home here? Anthony is a small town, mostly made up of farmers, service workers, and people living on fixed incomes. The price-to-income ratio has surpassed 8 to 10 times, a red alert for any market. When housing prices rise too far beyond local economic reality, the market becomes fragile. Many homes in Anthony have had multiple price cuts, but still find no buyers. Listings sit on the market for 60, 70 days, or even longer. Liquidity is practically frozen. For a town with no special advantages, no major university, no proximity to an economic hub, and no developed infrastructure, current housing prices are an illusion. The instability isn't just economic, it's also environmental. Over 20% of homes in the Anthony area are located in zones with serious flood risk within the next 30 years. But as a rural area with limited infrastructure budgets, issues like drainage, roads, and public services are often neglected, while maintenance costs continue to rise. A double risk: high prices but an unsustainable quality of life. Worse yet, this is a no-exit zone when the market turns. Buyers disappear, investors pull out, and residents can't afford to stay. When prices start to freefall, no one remains to catch them. This has happened here before, more than a decade ago, and the cycle is repeating itself. If you're looking for a safe place to retire or invest in Florida, Anthony isn't the answer. This is the textbook example of a rural area with inflated value that's rapidly losing its real appeal. What do you think about the silent collapse of small towns like this? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the latest warnings in this turbulent market. 4. Mangonia Park, Florida isn't short of strange little towns, but Mangonia Park is one of the fastest to climb the peak and fall off the cliff. Home prices here once surged more than 210% over a decade, pushing the median value past $316,000, far too high for a town of just a few thousand residents with no strong internal economic foundation. Even more alarming, Mangonia Park's risk of price decline ranks among the highest in the state. Some forecast models indicate a more than 70% probability that home prices here will drop sharply within the next 12-24 months. That number isn't based on speculation. It comes from what's truly happening: constant price cuts, long listings, and buyers' indifference. What makes this small town so risky? The answer is failed gentrification, when locals were priced out by incoming buyers. But once that external demand slowed, the market lost its footing. The result? A bubble bursting right at its weakest point. Mangonia Park is a vivid reminder that not every place near Palm Beach is worth investing in. When the foundation isn't solid, any price surge is just a temporary illusion. 3. Port St. Lucie, Florida. When the retirement paradise turns out to be carrying silent debt from infrastructure and living costs. Port St. Lucie was once advertised as the perfect retirement destination. Affordable homes, quiet surroundings, close to the beach, but not too risky. But the picture has changed. In recent years, the city's population has skyrocketed. Houses have sprung up like mushrooms. What the ads didn't tell you is that the infrastructure hasn't kept up. Chronic traffic congestion, weak drainage and sewer systems. The city has already approved a $280 million package to upgrade roads, clean water systems, and drainage networks to accommodate another 10,000 new homes. Home prices in Port St. Lucie have also soared, from around $143,000 a few years ago to nearly $394,000. But the median income of residents hasn't kept pace. As living costs, insurance, and taxes climb, financial pressure piles up. Many people living on pensions or fixed incomes are starting to find housing costs unsustainable. The scariest part, when new buyers step aside, even homeowners can't sell. Many properties sit idle for 90 or 120 days. Flip investors are pulling out. As demand drops, rental prices are falling too. Declining rental income is forcing many vacation homeowners to consider selling at a loss, but no one's buying. Port St. Lucie is no longer just a hot market. It has shifted into a high correction risk zone. If you think buying now means catching the bottom, you need to look closely at the infrastructure data, maintenance costs, and real financial pressures. Have you heard of anyone walking away from their home in Port St. Lucie because they couldn't keep up with costs? If you want me to break down which neighborhoods are most stuck in this area, comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so I can send you the full detailed analysis. 2. Winter Haven, Florida. Winter Haven was once a low-cost paradise for retirees, but that very heat has pushed it onto the list of Florida's most dangerous housing markets in 2025. Today, many people are stuck with homes they can't sell, and the reason is brutally simple. Prices have risen far beyond real income levels. In Winter Haven, home prices have far outpaced what local residents can afford. The sharp increases that began during COVID still haven't corrected, while incomes haven't caught up. This gap has wiped out real buyers, and the number of listings is climbing again. Not because of demand, but because investors are fleeing. Another problem is the city's heavy dependence on tourism and Airbnb. As visitor numbers drop, rental homes sit empty, investors lose money, and many are forced to sell quickly. That wave of simultaneous sell-offs has flooded the market with supply, pushing prices downward. On top of that, Winter Haven is caught in the middle of Florida's insurance crisis. Premiums are rising, many homeowners are being denied renewals, and they're forced to switch to more expensive coverage. In this environment, buying a home in Winter Haven now is like holding a financial weight no one wants to carry. 1. Punta Gorda, Florida. The resort city is in free fall because of natural disaster costs and a bursting coastal housing bubble. Punta Gorda was once seen as the gem of Southwest Florida. Beautiful beaches, a slow pace of life, and a dream destination for many retirees. But that very beauty has become a financial shackle. The median home price has dropped 12 and 15% from last year, with many listings sitting for 120, 140 days without a single offer. Waterfront villas, once believed to rise in value forever, are now seen as financial burdens. The reason is clear: natural disasters and insurance. The area has been repeatedly hit by major hurricanes, like Hurricane Ian, leaving homeowners facing widespread damage. Insurance premiums for coastal properties have surged 30–50% in just a few years. Many insurers have pulled out, leaving homeowners denied coverage or forced into high-risk programs. When insurance costs become unreasonable compared to a home's value, who still wants to buy? On top of that, many waterfront homes now require hurricane-proof upgrades: impact-resistant windows, new roofs, flood pumps, with renovation costs reaching tens of thousands of dollars just to meet new regulations. This makes affordable prices here misleading. Real buyers see the hidden costs and the overwhelming risk. The Punta Gorda market is no longer a place to bet on blue waters. When tourism-driven investment money retreats, when insurance and maintenance costs keep rising, and when practical buyers judge risk higher than reward, those beautiful waterfront homes become the hardest to sell. If you ever thought owning a seaside home was the dream, look at Punta Gorda. Hit like and subscribe if you want me to break down exactly which waterfront zones could collapse first. Florida was once a place to dream about, but for many today, it's a place that's dragging them down day by day. Home prices haven't dropped as much as they hoped, yet the cost of living, insurance, and taxes keep rising out of control. The result: thousands of people are stuck, unable to sell, unable to afford to stay, and unsure where to go. The market is no longer a place for dreaming. It's a place for staying sharp, especially for those over 50, living on fixed incomes, who can't afford to hold losses or wait it out. If you're thinking about buying into Florida right now, look closely at the long-term costs, not just the listing price. If you've ever considered one of the 10 cities we talked about today, share your story in the comments. I'll do a deeper breakdown in the next video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because sometimes just one piece of timely information can save you tens of thousands of dollars. Florida isn't a paradise for everyone anymore, and 2025 will be the ultimate test.